Good afternoon, Palm Beach Post opinionators. I'm Rick Christie, editor of the editorial page of the Palm Beach Post, and I'm here with Superintendent Robert Avossa to talk to you about volunteering in public schools. This is following up on a column that I wrote a couple of weeks ago that got a great deal of response, unexpected response from people out there who seem to care a great deal about volunteering in public schools. And I challenge folks to take just an hour out of their entire year, out of the entire school year, to volunteer if they can, and thought it could make a difference. And it seems to have resonated a little bit. So, but a lot of people, as I mentioned to Dr. Avossa, that a lot of people were coming back and asking, well, how can I volunteer? Which was kind of an interesting question. I didn't expect to get that from folks. But why don't we talk about that a little bit, the importance, first of all, talk about the importance of having people volunteer in our public schools, and then how can they do that? Yeah.
Well, we're a large school system, and I think people don't realize we have about 190,000 students registered, of which a large percentage of those students live in poverty. And so that comes with some challenges.
Okay.
And parents who may be working, two jobs, single parents, families who aren't able to contribute the way maybe other families can. Doesn't mean they don't love their kids, just means that they're struggling some. So the district does have a need, even though we have 48,000 people signed up as volunteers. They may only volunteer once during the school year, but the needs are so great. Whether it's something simple like helping in the front office, if a person speaks 2 languages, helping us translate, or something more complicated like pulling small groups of children and reading with them.
Yeah.
I think those are all good opportunities.
But what, 48,000 people sounds like a lot of people, though, and you're saying there's still need after that.
There's no doubt, and a lot of those are our own moms and dads who sign up as volunteers.
Okay.
They're not just sort of general, maybe a retiree or somebody who lives in a community who may not have children at home anymore.
Right.
The vast majority of those are our own moms and dads.
Oh, okay, all right. And so then what is now the school district has a pretty robust website and everything, but what do you recommend that is the easiest way for somebody to find out how to volunteer, or how would you suggest that they go trying to find out? So
right now, if folks want to go on our webpage, we have a special little area there where it says, how to volunteer. They can click on that. It also shows a list of...
On the webpage.
On our school district webpage, www.palmbeachcountyschools.org.
Okay.
And they can go right on there and they can see school by school, the kinds of things. Like on this one, Alamanda Elementary School looking for help in the media center to do something as simple as shelve books and monitor the reading room. Or reading buddy support or mentoring students. So each of the schools have something listed there. Okay. And folks can just look right there and see how to do it. Now, I will tell you, you do have to go through a screening. And we got to make sure that people are in our schools, don't have an extensive background where they might be dangerous around our children. So there is a process for that as well. And we want to make sure that our kids are safe. So
somebody can't just... because of some of the emails that I got, folks were, I guess, under the impression they could just walk in off the street and go in and say, "Oh, I want to go do work in a classroom or something."
Well, we want them to come in. They can come right in and they can ask to speak with either the principal or an individual we have at the school called a volunteer liaison. Okay. And they can sit down at a computer and show them how to fill out the right paperwork. Okay. But we got to make sure we balance the ease of this with keeping our kids safe. Okay. All right. In case something bad were to happen.
Good enough, good enough. And so you've basically gone back and put together a list from every one of your schools, a need that every one of your schools, be it small or large, they have whatever that need might be.
That's right.
And is this just elementary schools, or
no? Most of the schools that keep lists like this and that understand the importance, I think you'll see mostly at the elementary school level, where kids aren't as independent. But that doesn't mean that middle and high schools don't have a need, but the needs are different. So for example, a high school might like volunteers to come in to speak to students in the business and finance section. Maybe you're a retired banker, maybe you're actively an attorney and you'd like to go volunteer in our law academy, for example. That might be an opportunity for you to bring in what you're passionate about and volunteer in a classroom and mentor a few young men or women who are looking to do the same kind of thing.
Oh, okay. And I guess then it's kind of hard to say where, if we were going to say, what type of volunteers are we looking for? We're looking for people who basically want to get in and get their hands dirty, or people who just want to read to a class, or are we talking everything, pretty much anything?
So I think if somebody has it in their heart to volunteer and they want to work with us, we can find a place for them to help us.
Okay.
So whether it's a person who says, look, I'm a retired teacher, I love kids, I feel like I have the time to help, we can get you into an elementary school to help us do the work. You know, the thing I would tell people is that the Title I schools, the schools that have the highest concentration of poverty, have the most needs. And I think those are the kinds of schools that we're looking for folks to help us. In some of the suburban areas, we've got so many moms and dads who are already helping. And in fact, sometimes it's almost overwhelming the amount of help.
Okay.
We even encourage some of our PTAs to adopt and work with other schools too, because some schools may have an abundance of volunteers while others have very, very few.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. And so not just if you are, like, I live in Royal Palm Beach, so if there are, and my daughters aren't home anymore, but if one of them was at, say, Crestwood Middle, and Crestwood Middle had enough volunteers there,
Right.
I could go and volunteer, say, at, I don't know, Westward,
Sure.
Elementary in West Palm or something like
Sure,
that.
and that's what we encourage. The reality is that many of our students are facing, real challenges in their life, right? And adding some extra volunteers, could really help make a difference. I know that for me, it was sports and coach as a kid that kept me in school and kept me working hard.
Right.
And for other kids, it might be the arts and music and dance. But there are people in the community I think can really step up and help us out in that way.
I was going to ask, in terms of, people want to know if they want that if they do come and offer their time to help and work with the school district, that they are welcome. Do you think that the feeling of wanting these volunteers to come in and everything it runs throughout all the teachers in their classrooms as well? Because the teachers, it's their classroom, it's their, and everything. And do you think that same feeling, they have that same feeling too, that we need help in here?
Well, I think many of our teachers want help, but they know what kind of help they want. So,
Okay.
for example, they may want somebody to pull a small group of kids and and read with them or listen to them read and encourage them.
Okay.
And there's always going to be people who don't want volunteers because sometimes it's extra work to get it started.
Right.
But the vast majority of the people I've talked to in our schools really could use the help, whether it's in the front office, answering a phone, running copies for teachers, or helping them manage children at lunch. Imagine, 200 kindergarten and first graders who don't know how to open their thing of milk or ketchup. So
That's
I
pretty.
think we may have some
That's
questions.
pretty good.
Rita Solnett wants to know, many parents have asked me in the past about the screening process. If they're not yet citizens, they're concerned to sign up. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So the question, if it wasn't clear, is what about folks who might be worried about their own citizenship? We do have a Raptor process where we do a background check just to make sure that people haven't been arrested.
Right. Right.
And there are also volunteer opportunities on campus where it's supervised. So for example, if parents feel like, hey, I'm willing to come to a curriculum night and help, if there are employees there working with you, then that's one thing. If you work with small groups of children on your own in a classroom or where there aren't other employees, then your level of clearance needs to be higher. So if folks are worried about that, they can certainly volunteer in areas like the front office or helping us translate, etc.
Okay. All right. Good. Was there any other questions?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I think I said in the column, and you need to tell me whether or not I kind of overstated things here, because I guess I tended to be a little excited, that I said that volunteering at a school, the amount of volunteers or volunteers at a school can be the difference between a grade, at a grade in a school. And do you think that was overstating? Did I overstate things? No, I'm on camera here, so it's fine if you say I did, but do you think that's overstating?
You know what? I don't think you can ever overestimate or underestimate, the importance volunteering. Because really, if you think about it, a school could be 5 or 6 kids short of being a B school, for example. And if those 5 or 6 kids you're working with are the ones who make progress, then you've actually impacted not only the individual life of that child, but the overall school district, the school grade.
Okay.
And so it makes a big difference. Also understand that when you volunteer, not only are you helping the children, but you're also helping our teachers and our school staff. So they're able to double down their efforts with more needy kids as well.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know how we're doing on time here, but I guess do you guys already have other organizations in the community that you work with, that you get volunteers from, that maybe if people wanted to volunteer, not go directly to the school, but go to one of those organizations and say, hey, look, I heard you guys work with the school district. I wouldn't mind working with you and helping out with that.
Well, we've
Are there
got
any organizations that
yeah. So the YMCA, the Urban League.
okay.
There are also bigger organizations like Florida Power and Light, for example, who sent 250 interns to spruce up one of our schools, and those guys did so much work. They painted and when the kids walked in, they just had an unbelievable sort of surprise because their school looked so great. We also have retired teachers groups that sometimes
Okay.
come back and help us as well. And the other thing we could do is do probably a better job getting the word out to high school students. A lot of them are required to do a certain number of hours,
Right.
and
right.
this could be a way to go right next door to your local elementary school or middle school and help, and then log your hours as well.
Oh, okay, that's a good thought.
Not a question, but Julie Houston Tree said grandparents also make great volunteers, so don't forget about grandma and grandpa.
Okay.
That's right, and and what I've learned now that I'm back in Florida is that we wind up seeing a large influx of retirees start coming back. I think I understand in November. November in this
Okay.
area,
All right.
or people from the north who come down for 5-6 months out of the year. Some of our
okay.
older folks, I guess it's called snowbirds or
Yes,
something,
snowbirds.
as I understand. That's another
A lot of those folks actually.
right, that come back, and those are the kind of folks we could really use right here in our local schools to help us, that might be here, away from home for, several months. They make Palm Beach County their second home. We'd love to be
Okay.
able to see them in our schools as well.
Okay, all right, that's good enough. Well, that's kind of it. Was there anything else that I missed out on that you wanted to bring up? I wanted to make sure that people could go. The easiest way for people to go to the district's website and find out where these are. So if they go to the homepage on the website, there will be a place there for about volunteering that they can see
Absolutely.
right there on the homepage.
Right there, how to volunteer, right on the front page. They can click
All
on
right.
it, get the information, and we're happy to have them helping us any way they can.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate that. Thanks for the
Thanks,
time.
I appreciate
All
it too.
right.
Thank
all
you.
right. Thanks, folks.
Are you